It really is amazing just how quickly things change in the woods. It's been green everywhere for the last month or two. Everything's been holding on, and now you've got this beautiful orange hue. There's still a few little bits of greenery scattered around, the brambles, some of the evergreens in the far back, the ivy for example, but it's just beautiful. It's crisp, it's November. I haven't been out in quite a while filming or anything because I've been so busy with work, as is always with the summer season for me. So I'm really looking forward to getting out here and exploring the little nuances of this time of year. I've already seen some things I could forage, like blackberries. I've seen blackbirds. I've seen some scrapes where squirrels have been preparing stuff to put stuff for winter. So it's been a really fun journey just on the walk in. But I've got something that I'm going to cook up for lunch on this lovely walk. Let's see what we can find. So as I've said, there was some blackberries on the way in, and there's some more here on these brambles, and they'd be perfect for what I'm going to be cooking up for lunch, which is an autumn bannock. It's a really special thing in the bushcraft community, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it done before, but I'm going to be cooking one up in a little skillet, little cast iron skillet. In fact, I might not actually use those because I've got some dehydrated fruits. So this one, that is the taste of autumn. Now with it being so wet again, you can really see the disturbances in the ground quite well. And I was just looking around this to see if there's any visible prints of any animal, any signs, any hairs. But I can't see anything as of yet. In fact, there might be something there. No, it's just a fine root. But it's this time of year when obviously squirrels, badgers, they'll be out really getting their last forage on. So this could even be somewhere where a squirrel was disturbed when it was going to bury some things or dig some things up. But nevertheless, it's a really awesome little sign, and just another one. It's the second one I've seen coming in now. And in fact, around my area now, we're starting to see a lot of black squirrels. So the grey squirrel is getting pushed out. First we had the red squirrel. The grey squirrel obviously pushed that further back. Its habitat really got damaged. So the grey squirrels took over, and that's all I've ever known for my life. But now I'm starting to see black squirrels more and more often. They're much more elusive though, and because they're so much darker, they like to hide in the shadows. So if I do see one, I'll show you. But those scrapes are a really valuable sign for if you're looking for wildlife. For example, if you were looking for somewhere to set up with a slingshot, that kind of might be a good area to start. Kind of going into some kind of wetland area now. You can start seeing all the sedges, so I'll creep through these holly, which have got some nice red berries on there that the birds haven't found just yet. And that's a good crop if you're making a winter wreath. And of course, remember, I made a video not too long ago, probably about 2 years ago actually, where I made a Christmas wreath. So I'll put the link in the description down below, so if you want to check it out for something festive to do this year, you can always do so. Well, it looks like we're proper bushwhacking today. That definitely used to be a path. So let's have a little gander through. Already snagged up on a few brambles. So we're going through all of this brambly mess, but it's good. Got my Helicon Tex trousers on the bottom, and they're really good and thick actually, so I don't feel too uncomfortable walking through. There's a nice little place, nice little clearing for once. But if we have a little look, it just really has gone overgrown in this heat I guess we had this year, and the wet weather, and all this sedge has started to really push up along with the brambles. And that's one of the big things that kind of happens when there's kind of poor deer management in an area. And unfortunately this area doesn't get managed for its deer. So you get these vast monocultures of brambles, because all the other forageables that the deer love quickly get cleared by the population. So Yeah, these huge areas where they do a lot of clear felling to try and reinstate habitat actually get swamped with brambles because all of the other foliage gets nibbled on by the muntjac. So you end up with this kind of sea of brambles, and even the path kind of gets diminished. But often when you're walking through areas like this, it's actually times where if you're quiet, you might see something. So I'm going to quiet right down, have a little stalk through here, because who knows what may be the other side of this sea of brambles. So although I said I was going to be quiet, I wanted to just draw your attention to these. These are a little bit old, but they're a rosehip, packed with vitamin C, but also packed with little seeds inside, covered in hairs. So you want to cut that open, take the seeds out, and then scrape the inside to get rid of any hairs, and then the flesh of that can be used to make a tea, or again add into a cake or a bannock. I actually had to stop to retie my laces, which is always kind of the case when you're going through brambles because they do snag. But I wanted to just show you the Grease Sport boots. They've been holding out really well. Obviously I got these after going stalking last year and getting fairly wet feet, and they have done an absolute treat through last winter. And of course, as it's coming into the wet weather this year, something like this is always essential. So a nice high top boot, and yeah, really impressed with them. They're so waterproof and warm. So if you're looking for a good boot that doesn't break the bank, definitely go check them out. Grease Sport, these are the Gamekeepers, the GTX ones I believe, but really reasonable and didn't, again, break the bank. Well, there's definitely been some fox action going on. Mr. Pheasant got chomped on, and I have a suspicion Mr. Foxy went down in there somewhere, because there's a bit of that musky smell around this area. So I'm finally through the brambles. There's a big old ocean of it, and I'm here in a lovely clearing in this deciduous wood. There's oak, beech, hazel, hornbeam, and it's just a really inviting spot there. So I'm gonna sit down, drop off my stuff, get a fire going, then we'll have a proper little catch up. So I've seen a few caps and fungi around, but in this area actually, hidden amongst the leaf litter, you can see this beautiful purple, and these would have been a lot more vibrant. We've had a few rains, and these are actually amethyst deceivers, and sometimes they can be tiny. These are quite big examples of the caps. There's some more here that are a good size that I'll show you, but there's also a few scattered that are really tiny, and they're a great edible. So there it is, you can just see how tiny that is, the amethyst deceiver. Really small and tucked away. So today I'm actually going to be getting a little fire going, only very small, doesn't need to be big. I've got a really tiny cast iron skillet that I'll show you, and I'm going to be cooking up a seasonal bannock. Really nice treat for when you're in the woods, and it's just going to keep me nourished while I have this little walk and day trip with you. And yeah, I don't need a massive fire, so I'm just going to collect a few small bundles of fine twigs, get it going, and then we can get mixing the ingredients. I've already showed you a few local forageables that you could put into this dish, but today I've got some dehydrated apples and strawberries that myself and Ellie did back at home. But anyway, I'll show you what I'm going to use to get this fire going, and then we can, like I said, have a little chat about what the future Primal Nomad's got coming and what I've been up to. all these dry twigs. You can hear they're cracking like little matchsticks. That's from this drooping hazel branch. That's actually just broken off. It's still connected to the main tree, but these are really dry because they've been hung up. The rain hasn't soaked or saturated them, whereas if they were on the floor you'd be a little bit worried. But already I'm getting to a good pile that's going to help me get this small fire going. I only need it going for about 10 minutes. So a few piles of some small matchstick thin stuff, and then we'll move on to some stuff that's about the thickness of a pencil, and a few thicker bits, and that should be me done. So I've got my Thornhill Ultra Heavy little leather pad for starting fires on. It's absolutely perfect, just allows me to do all my tinder prep. Got flint and steel, or my ferro rod, and my tool option is the Kiradashi by Wilderways. Beautiful neck knife, so I'll be using that to light the fire as well. I do as well have some fat wood, which I'll probably utilise. Just get some scrapings of that going. And then some forage birch bark from my tinder pouch. I've chucked down this good kneeling pad, which has got some wool on this side. It's a sitting pad as well by Thornhill. Wax canvas on the back, and it just protects me and my knees. Make sure that when I'm fire lighting I'm not getting cold and wet, which is awful. So I'm first going to start by removing the Kiradashi. Really good fit in that kydex, and you can see the finish on that knife is impeccable. And I love this red handle for when I go stalking, which I haven't done for a while, but it means it's nice and high vis. And to be honest, when you're camping you don't want to lose your tool. So I'm going to use the back edge of my knife just on this fat wood to start scraping down and get some nice curls. Sometimes you might just have to cut them off where they attach, because it is fibrous pine after all. But if your knife's got a good right angle on the back, it's perfect. If not, you can just slice a few bits like that with your knife, nice and small little strips. The only thing is you can actually get quite thick bits by doing that, whereas this method you get some really fine shavings, as you see, tend to curl up, and then you can just nip that end off. That should be enough to get my fire going from a spark. It's a really good source of fire lighting material, fat wood. Really is good, and this stuff from Light My Fire, I've had it years and it's still going strong. So I've got some birch bark here, and it's just a nice sheet that I've been using in different places for fire lighting, and I'll strip a few bits of this off, hopefully some nice long ribbons in a second, and use that to add some fuel to this pile of fat wood shavings that I've got. This will just give a little bit of substance and longevity to the flame and allow me to get those bundles of twigs that I've collected burning. Because this is quite thick birch bark, it doesn't want to tear so easily, but that will mean it will burn for a fair while. So that should do. Doesn't look like a lot of tinder, but in reality, for a small fire like this with really dry tinder and kindling, it should work a treat. So I've got my fat wood there. I'm just going to use the back of my knife to produce some sparks. So if I show you closely, I'm not going straight up at a 90 degree, tilting forwards to it's about 45 degrees, and it's just a gentle action. In fact, pull the steel back and keep the knife where it is, if possible. There we have it, flame already. So now I'm going to tip that out onto there. I'm going to start my birch bark going, which will give a bit of longevity. And while that's flaming up, I get my bundle of sticks over the top, but I won't lay it down. I'll just hold it there until I start to see the flames lick up through. So they're almost there now. You can hear them start to crackle. Flames are almost through. Lift it up for a tiny bit of oxygen. Now those flames are through, I'll get this bundle of sticks on top to utilise that. And there we have it. A nice centre to our fire. I can start by packing all my fire lighting kit away. While the fire is just tickling away there, I've just been getting a few bits ready for Bannock. I've got some flour mixed with milk powder and brown sugar, water, the dried fruits from home, and my mixing cup and small skillet. This you might recognise from the Bushcraft show video. It's a Snow Peak titanium cup, and actually I was inspired by a Chinese guy who came over to see the show, and yeah, absolutely amazing, really lightweight. And I've put this tiny little wrap of leather on the outside. Jun was his name, and yeah, definitely go back and check out that video. He's an awesome guy. But this is a really handy little bit of kit that I can hang off my bag, and it takes up hardly any space or any weight, and for things like mixing, it's perfect. So if you want to make this Bannock mix, which is a kind of staple in the bushcraft world, just get yourself 2 parts flour to 1 part milk powder, and then either salt or sugar, depending if it's sweet or savoury. I've gone for sugar today, some brown sugar in there, and I'm just going to mix this in this little Snow Peak cup. I've got my spoon from my Kapilka kit, so that can be used for mixing. I've got a tiny bit of butter here that's going to go in the skillet, and this is a really miniature skillet, so it's a perfect little lunch-sized Bannock. And again, like I said, I've got some dehydrated strawberries and apples that myself and Ellie did, and it's just nice to use these up before I go and collect some more things to dehydrate, otherwise I'll just have tons of the stuff. So we're not looking for a thick or a thin kind of batter. We want it to be more like a bread, like a dough. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water in and start with that and just form it into a nice bready dough rather than a sticky liquidy mess, which can often happen with this mix. So small bits of water to start with. You really don't need much, especially when you're doing it on a smaller scale. Less is more. Just need a tiny drop more, about the same again. Like I said, the water goes a long way in this mix, and it easily becomes a very sticky, gloopy mess. So that is about right. In fact, could say a tiny little bit wet, but it's holding together, which is perfect. It hasn't become a liquid, so I can get most of it out in one scoop and just go back in to clean it up. So I'm going to get the cast iron skillet nice and warm with some butter in the bottom to take that and then fry that in place. This has gone down to a really nice bed of coals, and I've put these hazel sticks around it just to act as a little bit of a barrier, give a bit of height underneath so as not to smother that heat. You can drop in some butter and let that warm up. So now that butter's melted, you get this bannock in. Just starting to get a little sizzle. You want to flatten that down as much as possible. Obviously it's a little bit sticky here on the back of this spoon. Try and spread it as much as possible. I'm going to sprinkle some dried fruit on the top of that in a minute. So in the top I'm just pressing in these dehydrated strawberries, and then I'll go get some dehydrated apple, put that in. That'll be a lovely tasty little treat, a lovely autumnal bannock. Now going in with the apple. So it's starting to firm up now, so I'll probably leave this for another 3 or 4 minutes and then prop it up on its side just by the fire to grill the top and just get that crisping over. One good thing about bannock, if you bring it in a bag, you can put your stuff you mix it up in it to take home and wash up, especially on a day trip. So the bannock's browning lovely now, and it's going really good and firm. I'm just letting the middle catch a tiny little bit where it might be a little bit wet, and then we're pretty much ready to go. So just while that bannock's browning off, just wanted to have a little catch up with you before I head off out of this woods. It's going to get dark fairly soon, as the day is really drawing quickly now this time of year. It's about 3:30, 4 o'clock when the sun starts on its downwards journey. By about 4:30 it's completely dark everywhere, so I want to be out way before then. But it's just been really nice to come back out and feel like I'm back at home again. Work's been absolutely mental, as always it is for me in the summer season, so it's to be expected. But to make up for it, I've got some cool things coming up, and in fact one of those things is a live stream that I'm going to be doing in the upcoming few weeks, so I'll keep you posted with that in the channel kind of little post that I can put out on YouTube, on Instagram, on the stories. So I'm really excited to share that with you. It's going to be a whole new little thing and a nice little journey for you and me, so if you've got any questions you can hopefully ask me live and I can show you around. But also I've got some more truck stuff coming out. I always say that, but I really do this time. I've got the whole underbody protection that I've done on the Navara, so if you're overland vehicle or your 4x4 or your van life or just your car has got a bit of rust and you want to do some underbody protection to make sure that lasts, that will show you how to do that side of things in the best way that I think you can do. So it's been really working a treat, and thank God the Navara's been playing well actually lately. I've just had to put some new injectors in it, but at 130,000 miles you can't complain. But the Bannock is looking like it's toasting. I'll draw you in to see, but like I said, I'll probably get that down me, sit down, relax the last little bit of the light that I've got in this woodland, and then head out. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for obviously sticking with me throughout the channel. It's been a really busy period, and I know there hasn't been much content coming out, but I can guarantee you, and you can stay rest assured, that there's going to be some good stuff coming soon. And like I said, I hope to see you guys at the live event, the live stream. All you got to do is join. It's probably going to be on Twitch, not YouTube, but it might be on both. We'll see. But yeah, I cannot wait to share that with you. That is good and done. Look at that, guys. Lovely golden brown bottom. lovely and warm. Oh, ho, ho. That is incredible. How golden brown it is on the bottom, nicely toasted on the top, and inside it's got all those air bubbles. That's perfect. I'm going to finish this, get the fire off, and get back home and edit this. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry it's been such a long time. I can't wait to share what's coming up in the future. So stay safe, and I'll see you soon.